Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we'll be recreating this cute dress with Basque effects. So I already have my pattern paper. This side is going to serve as my center front and the side facing me will be my side front. So I'll start by taking my vertical measurements. The first measurement I'll take is the distance from my shoulder line to my bust point, which is 10.5 inches. I'm going to indicate that and I'll rule a straight line across. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust, which is 13 inches. I'll also rule a straight line across. And the next point is my waistline, which is 16 inches. I'll rule a straight line across. And the last point is going to be the distance from my shoulder to my hip line, which is 22 inches, and then I'll rule a straight line. So I have my bust point, my waist point, my under bust, and my hip line. So for me to get my chest line, I'm going to go up from my bust point by 2 inches and I'll rule a straight line across. So this line is going to be my chest line. So the next thing I'll do is to take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. I will indicate that with a point and I'll make sure I have the 8 inches also on my chest line, and then I'll connect both points together with a straight line. The next thing I'll do is to take my neckline. So I'll take 3 inches for the depth and I'll take 3 inches for the width. So I'm taking 3 by 3 inches and then I'll connect with my ruler. And to get my shoulder slant, I'm going to come down on this armhole area by 1 inch and then I'll connect into the neckline like this. On my chest line, I'll take my bust measurement divided by 2. I'll indicate with a point. And I'll divide this straight line that I have here, I'll divide it by 2. And then I'll indicate the middle point of that particular line. And then I'll come inward like this by half an inch. Then I'll connect from the top to meet the half an inch to meet the point where I placed my bust measurement divided by 4. So if you don't understand, just watch what I am doing. The next thing I'll do is to take my dart. So on my bust line, I'll take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. I'll take the 4 inches on my bust line, on my under bust line, and on my waistline, and then I'll connect the point into a straight line. On my bust line, I'll come down by 1 inch. And on the waistline, I'll take half an inch on the left and half an inch on the right. And then I'll connect to meet the 1 inch that I came down with from the bust point. I'll also connect from the waistline to meet the hip line like this. So the next thing I'll do is to work on the cup area of this dress, and this is the most important part of this dress. On my bust point, I'll go up by half an inch. And then from my center front, I'll come inward like this by another half an inch. And I'll use my ruler to connect both points together. I'll just rule a straight line across like this. What I'll do next is to use the curved part of my ruler to connect from that half inch that I came in with. I'll connect it like this to meet my under bust, that is the dart line, just like you see me doing. I'll measure the distance between my bust point and my under bust, and what I have is 2.5 inches. I'll add half an inch to it, making it 3 inches. So I'll place my tape on my dart line just like you see me doing, and then I will indicate the 3 inches with a point. On that 3 inches, I'm going to go up by half an inch. Remember, we went up by half an inch on the center part, so I'll do the same thing for this part. I'll indicate the half an inch with a point, and then I'll rule a straight line across just as we did for the middle part of this dress, that's the center front. So what I'll do next is to take the curved part of my ruler. I'll connect from the 3 inches to meet my under bust, the dart line on my under bust, just like this. And here we have our cup. The next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurements. On my chest line, I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4, and then I'll add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance. On my waistline, I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4, and then I'll measure my dart of 1 inch. I'll replace it, and then I'll add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance. If you're still watching and you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. Leave a comment for me down below in the comment section. Let me know if you learned something from this video. Please help my small channel to grow. I really appreciate you guys and your support so far. On my hip line, I also placed my hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance, and then I'll connect the dots together. So to get that basque effect on the front and on the back part of this dress, I'm going to come down by 4 inches from my hip line, and then I'll slant from these 4 inches to meet my hip line on the other end. I'll go ahead and extend my armhole line to meet the stitching allowance, and then I'll cut. Please watch me closely and know where to cut. So after cutting out my middle parts, what I'll do on the dart area is to cut just one part open, and then I'll place it on the other, and then I'll pin it down. So this will help me eliminate the dart on the middle part. So when I'm cutting my fabric, I'm going to cut just one fabric. I won't have to bother about taking the dart on this middle area. I hope you understand. So these are the patterns we'll be needing for the front part of this dress. So we have our yoke. I'm going to cut the yoke with a white fabric. I'll cut the middle part with Ankara, and the skirt part I'll cut with Ankara. Please don't forget you are cutting everything for the front part on fold, and don't forget to add at least 0.5 inches allowance on all sides while cutting. And one more thing for this yoke, so the dress we are following, there's a little bit of gathers at the cup area. So what I'll do is to slash and spread. So I'll measure what I have on my shoulder line. I'll divide it by 2, and then I'll connect into a straight line. So what I had was 5 inches, and the middle point is 2.5 inches. So I'll connect like this with a straight line, and then I'll use my scissors to cut it. I'll not cut it out completely so that it will give me room to be able to spread it. After cutting, this is what I have. So when I'm cutting on my fabric, I'll spread it by 2 inches. So that's all for this cup. Don't forget to do that. I'll just spread it by 2 inches so it will have a little bit of gathers on the cup area. So this is my pattern for the back part of this dress. So everything I'm doing here is everything that I did on the front part of this dress. The only difference here is the zipper allowance. So I left 1.5 inches zipper allowance at the back. So the back armhole and the front armhole is not the same. What I'll do is to take my bust measurement divided by 4 on my chest line. I'll indicate that and then I'll just connect like this. Remember, on the front pattern we came in by half an inch. We don't need that on the back pattern. So this is our neckline, sorry, our armhole for the back. So what I'll do next is to take my dart in. So I'll do that by taking my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'll connect with a straight line. This is basically everything that we did for the front part of this dress. The only difference is the zipper allowance and then the armhole area. On the neck area, I'll take 3 inches for the width and then I'll take 2 inches for the depth because I want the back neckline to be a little bit higher than the front, and then I'll use my ruler to connect like this. For the shoulder slant, I'll come down by 1 inch and then I'll slant into the neckline like this. So the same thing that I did for the front part, on my center back I'll go up by half an inch and then I'll rule a straight line across it. And this line right here is going to serve as my yoke for the back part of this dress. What I'll do next is to start placing my body measurements. I already have my bust measurement divided by 4 on my chest line. I'll go ahead and add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance, and on my waistline I'll place my waist measurement divided by 4. I'll replace this 1 inch dart and I'll add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance. On my hip line I'll take my hip measurement divided by 4 and I'll add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance, and then I'll connect my lines. In order to get a Basque effect for the back, I'll go down from my hip line by 4 inches and then I'll slant to meet my hip line on the other side with my ruler. So I'll go ahead and adjust my armhole into the stitching allowance, and in order for my zipper to sit well on my waistline, I'll come in by half an inch. Later I changed it to 1 inch, and then I'll slant up like this is to avoid the bulginess that comes with attaching a zip to a dress. So this will make my zip sit well. So I'll connect to meet my chest line, and I'll connect from there to meet my hip line. So I took half an inch before I took another half an inch, so just take 1 inch out of the waistline and slant to meet the chest line and the waistline. And when you fix your zipper, you see that everything is perfect. So what I'll do is to cut. So look at what I am doing and just know where to cut out. So the same thing I did for the front part of this dress, I'll just fold in my dart and I'll pin it, so I won't have to worry about that. For the middle part, I'll just cut one piece out. So yeah, these are all the patterns that we need for the back part of this dress, and stay tuned for the sewing version of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.